since the horrors of the Black Plague has our land seen such despair. Almost 2 millennia after Sigmar founded the Empire, the realm is fractured and broken. 3 rival factions claim the Imperial crown: Marienburg, Middenheim, and Reichland. Lure of power brings the armies of men against one another in a seemingly endless tide of battle. An island of peace in a sea of conflict, Mordheim drew wealth such as the city had never seen into its walls. But with its prosperity came the corruption of arrogance and hedonism and greed. The gods could not long abide the outrages of Mordheim's populace. In the heavens, an ill star appeared, a great twin-tailed comet that some priests warned was nothing less than the hammer of Sigmar. They preached tidings of doom and repentance, but their sermons were ignored. An attitude of rebellious revelry gripped the city as the comet grew ever nearer. The grand festival to celebrate the turn of the year was a mockery of the apocalyptic prophecies. It was then that the hammer fell. The fiery comet plowed through the city, gouging a deep crater in the midst of the poor quarter. The wondrous palace of Count Steinhard was broken, the grand amphitheater shattered, the vast great library blighted by a pall of ash. Fire and smoke decimated the populace, but worse awaited the survivors. A malignant corruption that brought with it mutation and madness, the vile taint of chaos. In the shattered city, strange green-black stones were discovered. Strange energies emanated from these shards. Warlocks and alchemists experimented with these word stones and soon determined that their uncanny properties could work wonders. Wordstone could heal the sick, regenerate the old, or even turn base metal to gold. Lust for Wordstone focused avaricious eyes upon ruined Mordheim. Treasure hunters descended upon the city, vying with both mutated horrors that claimed the ruins as their own, and crusading zealots who sought to prevent the taint from spreading. Inhuman creatures filtered into Mordheim, staking their own claims. An endless pilgrimage of the greedy and ambitious, fighting and dying in a place now called the City of the Damned. Who among you shall die today?
Hello everyone, I'm TryMan95. I'm be going with my YouTube name and my general online account name for this video series. And I introduce you to Mordheim, City of the Damned. Now, I let that intro video play just to help give people an idea of the theme of the game. And as you can also see from the title screen, in the theme as well. Now I'll be playing as one of the 6 factions of this game, but unfortunately, the 2 on the side, the witch hunters right here, and the undead are DLCs, so I won't be playing as them. But in the original game, we got the human mercenaries, Sisters of Sigmar, Call to the Possess, and the SKAVEN. Now, for my general playthrough, I'll be playing as the SKAVEN in here. Now, I'm probably just now for this video. We got a SKAVEN warband already set up. So right now I'm just going to click on these guys, let the introduction play for you. I'm not going to let the whole thing play, but you can pause it for yourself to read the description. You'll see what I mean soon enough. That starting rank thing though, I've been playing the game a little bit beforehand as the human mercenaries. This is just a general, will help you accelerate through the ranks, and so you don't have to do everything from all over if your warband dies. but I'll be doing it from the beginning. But I'll be mainly playing the story missions. I may be playing a couple of the normal campaign battle missions, not the normal campaign missions. But overall, I'll be mainly showing the main story missions for the SKAVEN faction, and if I play as any other faction in the future, for their story mission as well. And again, like I said, I played a couple of the normal campaign fightings.
Mordheim nest have much warpstone. Clannish make trouble pain to keep other clans away. Must be swift silent.
Now I'll let you guys just pause the screen for yourself. You can read this on your own time.
Smart wise SKAVEN may take much
I'm
more rank with warpstone. Keep steel from stupid.
So this is the main warband party screen, and well, right now, what we have here are our warband management. Currently, since I'm starting out with a new warband with a rank of 0 over here, I only have my leader, my special hero character, and a couple of grunt henchmen, as you can see. Now, over time, as my warband grows and levels up, I'll unlock additional slots of up to 3 more possible heroes, those 2 more henchmen, and also as well and as an impressive. Now impressive is a later game class character that you can have in your warband, and technically this is the standard warband that you see with any warband and that you have. Right now, just like I said, I'll probably start the future game in place. I'll start off the game with just showing the warband, just so you guys can get an idea of the size and what's going on of events. You'll see what I mean sooner or later. Traditionally, you have your shop, multiplayer, veteran system. Veteran system is more along the lines of challenges, as you can see here, like acquiring enchantment recipes, spending gold, progression through the campaigns, or even just simply killing the enemy. Now, the veteran system applies upon itself in a number of different ways, and what is known as veteran skills. Pretty much your generic stuff that can helps the party, but overall they're just small stuff, as in like helping you reduce maintenance on paying for your soldiers, having special contacts that can send you special equipment when you need it, to even just stuff that can help your warband overall. Personally, I'm going with renown to make getting future soldiers cheaper. Scholar, which can help me with training my units, which you will see where you will see sooner or later. And let's see what else will I go with. And I think I'll go with a negotiator. Now, I'll explain what negotiator is for later, but it's not for buying prices, if that's what you're thinking. And I'm gonna, right now, upgrade my renown and my scholar, just so for future purchases will be cheaper. I guess if anything, I'll start with the campaign and introduce you guys to a normal campaign battle, to help introduce you guys to the game. Normally you'll be given 2 locations on average, a third, but the third one is normally a story mission. Now, if you never like these two choices, you can always pay some money out of your purse to send scouts that will go out, find a third choice or more, but you can only do this 3 times, and each time you do it, it gets more expensive. So generally you want to use it when the choices are bad or you don't want to take the risk. Now, our first choice we have, I have to identify this first. As you can see here at the bottom, with the skull, there is no easy difficulty in general. The game is meant to be normal or harder difficulty. And as you can see next to it, there's the Mark of Death. Right over here you have one called Warstone Rush. Now, those things, there's a third one, and I can't remember if there's a fourth one, but generally, actually there's only 3. The third one is more crush your enemies' morale, but overall, those are just tell you what your bonus objectives will be like. Warstone Rush will be pretty much collecting a certain amount of warstones, generally half or slightly above half. While Mark for Death is, while you're fighting the enemy, you have to take a special token item. I'll explain those token items later. Below that, you see 2 symbols. The spiky rock thing, those are wardstones. I'll explain those as I get into the campaign. And the other one, and the little chest with a question mark, that is the loot that's in the general area that you can scavenge. And below all that is the description of how the warbands will be set up, or how you can set them up. For this one, I'm gonna do Visions of Dread, Marked for Death. Now, before you go into a campaign, you're always given an option to transfer out units that may be injured or you think would be better for the scenario. But since I really don't have much money, nor do I really need to purchase any units, I'll go with my standard group. Now, I'm always given 2 choices of launch mission and launch and deploy. Launch and deploy allows you to position your units where you want them to be, while launch mission does it randomly. Normally, I'm just going to do launch mission.
A ghastly manifestation frightened your warband and scattered them in the ruins. They soon recover from their fright, but before the warriors can regroup, an enemy warband arrives and deploys near their wagon.
Now, and pretty much the main only objective for these normal campaign battles is always defeat the warband or destroy their morale enough that they flee from combat. Now, the one thing I also want to point out, you always want to try and get the bonus objective. The loot is worth it. Now, as you can see, this is the map of the general area. Warstones are these green symbols. You'll want to get those if you can. While the brown are your loot or scavenge areas. Blue symbols are always your own men. Red is your enemies. Now, I have yet to see this in a normal campaign, nor do I think it will happen. Story missions, I'm not sure, but there's a third color, yellow, and those are neutral enemies that will attack anyone. Now, right now my main objective is to find out the enemy and kill them. And this is generally a turn-based game, as you can see from the top of the screen. It goes by order of initiative. Now, normally, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, that 87%, that will be a general assumption for all skills those that you do. Attacking, defending, climbing, jumping. That would be your general uh, chances of success and failure for pretty much everything you do. Now, as you can see, there's a blue circle or outline. That's my general mover range. As you can also see, there's a couple of small blue circles and red skulls. The blue circles are called strategy points, and those are mainly stuff like allow you to dodge attacks, while also it will allow you to move. Get an attack or do what I'm doing of a scavenge, it will cut off your strategy points, so you only work with what you have left. Now, as you can see here, I'm grabbing a ward stone. Now, you're going to see something happen. Now, ward stones are tricky, but you need to grab them whether you like it or not. Ward stones have a mixture of random effects. One you saw happen to me, he is not a positive one, as you can see. I see one of the least desirable ones of my choice. But that kind of damage is what's to be expected. Now warstones, not all warstones are negative effects. There are some positive ones that can heal you if you're lucky, or just, you know, give you a bonus attack. Generally though, they're more negative, but they're like small stuff that won't affect you most of the time. Yeah, as I mentioned before, strategy points, jumping and climbing, you do have that chance of suffering some form of damage if you're unlucky. Now, it's always recommended that in the beginning of the game, if you don't see any enemies, that you be careful out there. Because you might get a negative warstone, or you might have a bad position and just get ambushed. A word of caution and advice as well for this game. You want to be careful where your units go, because the last thing you want is a lone fighter kind of deal, especially when you're against the whole enemy warband too. Sorry, I accidentally pressed the home key. I'll try and edit that out. Generally, my plan for these kind of matches where my units are scattered out, I like to try to reform them, try to regroup and all that. Now, the one thing I want to point out is that, as you can see here, there's a cart. Now, each warband has their own cart, and there's two things to remember with the carts. One, you can go back there at any time to store loot that you may have scavenged up during the battle, or taken from your fallen foes. But most importantly, there's an idol. If you take your enemy's idol, or they take yours, morale suffers from it greatly. So it's one of those things you want to make sure you protect it as much as you can. Yet, generally, I have yet to experience this from the AI, so not much to worry about, not unless you play in a multiplayer match. Now, as for multiplayer matches, I'm uncertain about those because I have yet to play them. It says people are online, but I'm not sure if I'm just a small, weak warband right now, or if there's something else going on. But I'm not going to get much into the multiplayer of this game, and mostly because I have no one to play with, and I have yet to figure it out or see a match that comes up for me.
A new round has started.
Right now I'm not seeing the enemy, so I may just try and go to the cart. If I'm correct, I'm dealing with witch hunters. I know that I mentioned that the witch hunters in the game are actually DLC, but the good thing about this game is that even though if you don't have the DLC, you can still fight the other enemy warbands. And even if they're DLC, at least gives you an idea of what you're dealing with, and also still doesn't take away from the game. In fact, it feels like it still gives a little bit more. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'll wait till I get into combat to talk about stances. Now, horse stones, you can find them either in bags like this or in the ground. Yeah, when I go to edit this, I'll probably try and keep I'll probably move out from the boring stuff mostly. Except for the parts I talk about, well, you get the idea. I'm trying to explain things. But yeah, this is pretty slow right now. But once I start seeing the enemy, yeah, I'll try and show you that through and cut through the boring stuff on editing. For now, I'm just gonna go silent because mostly it's just looting and hope I don't come across the enemy right now. I'll try to get a good chunk of the loot here. I just got trapped. Yeah. One thing interesting about Mordheim is that there are a good amount of traps everywhere. And like the one I step on, they can cancel out your strategy points, leaving you with less movement as soon as you recover. Usually traps don't do much. They may give you a debuff, like with you when it says warp dust. Or wait, nope, that might have been from the Warstone. Not sure. But they give you a debuff after they harm you. Usually you can spot traps out if you do a perception check. If you don't know what it looks like, I have it highlighted at the bottom. And generally it just highlights things such as traps, items, those kind of things. One thing that is generally certain about traps is that you can expect not to find them at your starting point, so that's always a plus. Alright, I'm going to probably go back to, just go back to the editing part and just come back when actually starts happening. So don't be surprised if you see some cutting out. Nope. Looks like we just found one of the enemies. Now, I had a feeling that the enemies would be in a general area, just judging by where they've been collecting war stones at. Not just the fact they've been collecting war stones.
A new round has started.
The round starts. Time for some fighting. The only problem is, though, I may get... Knew it. Yeah. As you just see, the guy earlier took a ambush stance. Usually that means they just hold the ground until an enemy comes into the line of sight and within range. And when that happens, they charge at them, deal some damage. Well, this guy got unlucky. Hopefully I'm not unlucky myself. Now sometimes if you attack an enemy before they do an ambush, or they're not ready for an ambush, they may have enough offensive points. Offensive points are generally the red skulls to do a counter attack. The other kind of stance are dodge stances and parry stances. A dodge stance, pretty much what it is, dodging, and parry is pretty much if you have a shield or a weapon that allows you to parry. There are also other stances that affect the game, such as doing more damage, have a better melee resistance, have an extra dodge or extra parry. I'll show those once I start working with once my character starts getting some skills I can invest into. But for now, I am going to dodge. I'll explain what the other symbols mean as I sort of skimmed over them with the next character. Now, generally, I would never recommend sending your captain into battle. Mostly because if your captain, actually I'll explain why later, but overall, captain is one of your best fighters, but also one of those fighters you want to be careful about sending into battle. I will say this now. This game is one of those love-hate relationship games. The reason I say this now is that I recommend at least taking a look at your character, taking a look at some of my attack rolls now and again, my attack chances I mean, and take note of how often I miss or the odds are of missing. Because sometimes they are just ridiculous. When I'm doing the human mercenary campaign in my free time, I won't be recording those unless people want me to, but don't expect me to. Is that I have moments where a 95 chance to hit, and that's as high as they go too, and I can still miss, or at least have a 95% chance to dodge and still get hit. Now I just killed one of the witch hunters, and if you look at the upper left corner screen, you'll see two bars. Those bars represent morale. Blue is yours, red is the enemy, and there's a threshold. Once that morale reaches that threshold, then the enemy start making morale tests. Now, when I was explaining morale tests a bit more once they actually start happening. Now, as you see here, this guy was carrying some wards and some loot that I can take. Now he also has a special token. Now, let me take a moment back up here. As for my objectives, those tokens I mentioned, everyone carries a token, even my own men. Now, this guy's just a simple grunt, so his token is completely worthless. Now, the reason I don't take a token is because they are worthless, to be honest. They're only really for these marked of death missions. Any other time, don't even bother picking them up. You can for sentimental reasons or RPG reasons, but overall, don't pick them up. Worthless, you just take up space, and you're better off just taking a dagger. At least you can actually get some money out of it. Uh-oh. Ugh. Not good.
A new round has
Now, I want to, before I continue, as you notice at the top of the initiative, right now it's my turn. You see those 3 stars? That means that this character is a special hero. And at the bottom of the initiative, the guy that just attacked me, he's also a 3-star. He's also a hero with 3. He's also a hero because of the 3 stars. Heroes are your go-getter men. The guys who actually want to be on the front lines, that you actually want to keep alive, that you can trust to survive or do some good damage. If anything, these are your guys you want to invest most of your time in with, besides your captain. I'm not sure about impressives. Henchmen, they're grunts. They don't attack often, nor do a lot, nor can they upgrade their skills to mastery. I'll restate skills later, but for now, I need to stab this witch hunter. Now, my odds of success are poor, but luck can be on your side in more than one ways. And as you may have noticed, my offensive points went up. Normally, when you're dual wielding or using two-handed weapons, it's the cost to attack with two-handed or dual wielding goes up by 1 offensive point. So that's also another good reason why hero characters are good. Now, I want to explain here, there's delay and flee. Now, if you flee, your character runs away as far as his strategy points can take him. But all enemies near him, actually, right, if I were to flee right now, that witch hunter will have a free attack. And if I'm lucky, he could kill him, or I can get lucky and escape. But this free attack applies to everyone targeting in my character right here. There's also delay, which let's say I want to attack, but the enemy's too far away, or I don't want to move in range. I can do delay. It takes my character down the initiative, where he can act again on his turn, but he generally does not do any turns. He just stands there and waits. There's also a disengage action, but I need an offensive point and a strategy point. Disengage allows me to get away from the enemy without giving them the chance to attack me. Yeah, with new characters or early characters, you can expect a good amount of misses, or suffering some good hits. It's on your own. My recommendation, always try to take a stance if you can. At least that way, your units are at least prepared for something that comes their way. I'm also going to say this now, each faction has their own uniqueness that makes them special for combat. SKAVEN, what I saw, have a good high dodge chance, but at the same time, they have poor range units from what I can see, or at least not as good. But as I get more familiar with SKAVEN, I might learn some other things they're good at. But overall, from my experience, they're good at swarming your enemy and good dodge. Well, normally. Well, for what else I could gather. Ah, crap. Warp dust. Another trap. That's what that does real quick. Range resistance. Which, gonna be honest here, not many of the factions don't really use range units. The only factions I really see range units use, or range tanks, are human mercenaries, or actually pretty much really human mercenaries. The other factions may use range units themselves, but very poorly or not that often. Well, I failed to kill that witch hunter, so there's a good chance I'm going to lose a unit today. Or at least he's just going to fall out of combat. Generally with these battles, besides difficulty, the warband party sizes for each side are generally the same. Ah, crap. As you saw, my character, that guy just scored critical. Normally they score critical, they stun enemies or do a lot of damage. And I just lost a guy. Now, I generally don't expect myself to win this first encounter. That has always been my experience. First encounters, at least early on, are poor. And son of a bitch, we just die. Thank you. Now, generally, since both special hero characters out, this is still pretty even, with me still an advantage since I killed one of the guys early in advance. Sorry, I like to make sure I don't lose any loot. 82% chance to hit, and yep. This is one of those love-hate relationship games, to my opinion. The annoying thing is you can't really look up what certain items do. You have to keep track of what they do. Oh. Now that SKAVEN's gonna die. No doubt about it. If I don't get lucky, that Witch Hunter is gonna just decapitate him. See what I say? See what I said? Yeah, two-handed weapons. It may take a lot out of the character, but they do a good amount of damage. Generally, you can just hope for that your characters have enough ability to dodge, and that you can just avoid the attacks if you can. Now, the one thing I want to point out is that normally when an enemy unit or one units are ganged up by two or more enemies, they make a all-alone test. Generally, that's tests with me to make them, have less strategy points or less offensive points. But overall, you want to try and make your enemy be all alone as much as possible. Now, as you can see with the enemy's morale, it's pretty low. So, probably next round, the enemy might make a morale test. If he does, I'll explain what it does and how it works. If I survive long enough, and hopefully I don't have to make one. As you see, he just did an all-alone check, and he passed, and he just...
Your warband morale is critically low.
Now, if you just heard that, it did give me the warning that my morale is low. So...
A new round has started.
Now, my warband just did a morale route check. Generally, your leader will make that check. That's why it's important to keep your leader alive while also killing the enemy's leader as well. Normally, as you can see here with initiative, the crown tells you who the leader is. And like I said, if you can, try to kill the enemy leader. If you do, the next guy or someone in the initiative order of Fat Warband will make that check, and he will more than likely fail it most of the time. Now the general hope right now is that I can do some serious damage while getting lucky enough not to get butchered by that greatsword. Now you failed the all-alone check. Normally when they fail a check like that, they have less offensive points less
A new
strategy
round
points,
has started.
and they can't do as much. Or they may try and do something like fleeing, but something. But generally, you want them to fail those checks. And let's see if we can kill the bastard. One more good hit and... Woo!
Objective completed.
Let's hope that last soldier runs. Yeah, sometimes those warp effects don't do anything. I may be unable to complete... Yeah. I think that last guy that was left alive... I'm looking for a Steiner. Ah, shit. Yeah, each character has a limited amount of loot that they can carry. Now, from my experience, the captain can carry more or as he levels up. Yeah, I think that last guy that's still alive is the guy that I want to loot for his token. Yep, enemy route check failed. I mean, that means I win the battle. And it was... No, wait. What the f... Huh. Don't know where that Steiner guy is, but overall, at the end of each game, you see your... How much XP or rewards you get from completing bonus objectives. The loot that you get from the battleground victory. Now, since I looted most of that stuff, I don't get that much from the battleground itself. Usually, you want to loot that stuff, bring it back to your cart, and put it in your chest. At least that way, the loot is there, you still get a good amount of it. And since I didn't complete the bonus objective, I don't gain any extra rewards. On the right, you see how many men I lost, how many the enemy lost, and who did the most, who were the best fighters on each side.
Yes! Brilliant, clever Filch leads Warband to victory! Kill, crush all enemy! Steal, snatch much wordstone! Murder Lord will be happy pleased!
Yeah, that little description right there, the little chat thing, each faction has their own thing. I'm going to say that now. The Human Mercenaries one has more of a veteran tone guy, just explaining how good things or how bad things went. Generally, after each campaign, you see how much experience that unit gets. It's how many special points of advancement they can spend on. Usually, there's only 3 categories you can spend this on: physical stuff, which I'll explain once I go through all of this. It's mental and martial. Others in resistance are just your passive stuff that you can't do anything with. They will change depending on how you spend your points in one of these 3 major categories of the 9 subcategories. Now, unfortunately, Mordheim will claim some of your characters, just like what happened here. And crap, that was my hero character too. Luckily, this is still a pretty early game, so yeah. The one thing I gotta recommend is that you don't get too attached to these characters. Oh god, I'll tell you this now. If you make a character well, strong, high level, good equipment, and he dies, I'm certain there's gonna be a lot of people that will be angry about that. But again, early game, and I wasn't expecting them to live that long.
It's over for this one.
Sometimes you get a bit more lucky. You get a character that just suffers a wound, like this one. Now, wounds vary over different characters. There are some things where there's the things you want to look forward to, like a full recovery. That's the one you gotta hope for besides surviving. But there are other kind of. Oh, now that they're dead. He figures he did suffer 2 criticals.
Another one bites the dust.
But generally, there are some things like losing a limb that can make you unable to use equipment or do certain abilities. Then there's stuff like losing your current amount of XP for that unit. Then there's stuff like that can reduce your maximum current skill points of your party. And then there's stuff like permanent effects like stupidity or I can't remember, Megomaniac, I can't remember them all, but stupidity is one of those. Well, you don't want the unit, trust me. But overall, after each campaign, you get a look over how much you looted. Now, I'm going to say this now, you want to get a war stone. It doesn't matter if it's as small as a fragment or as big as a cluster, you want to get them. And generally, after each campaign, you want to pay for treatments so you can use units later and just pay them. If you don't pay your units, as interest incurs, and it just becomes much harder to keep them going. Generally, as your warband levels up itself, you get more slots for henchmen, and you can unlock more hero characters. Those have more of a warstone resistance, so you're not suffering as many bad effects. Or lone tests as well, or just other effects, or just simply card capacity. Later on, you get more impressive hero characters, as well as the impressive itself. Now, I'm just going to spin to the next day.
A new shipment has been requested.
Now, in the general campaign, you'll be tasked to sending a shipment of these ward stones to your main leader, which in my case is Murderlord Skitnit, however you pronounce it. That's my primary faction. At any given time, I want to take the ward stones I gotten, but I can only deliver when I have a total weight of 75 to my primary faction. Tells me how much I need, how much I'll get paid, and if I ever go over that weight requirement, and I gain surplus payment. Now there's also 2 other factions here as well. These are secondary. You can send warstones to them at any given time. Normally, as your reputation goes up, like let's say my primary faction reputation goes up to 1, these other 2 will start paying me more for ward stones. And as reputation goes up, As you see on the right side, I gained some bonuses, gained some free items. So generally that's the point of the game, right? For the normal campaign missions. Gathering war stones, surviving, killing the enemy, and shipping them off to your faction. Now, generally what happens is you'll get some story missions, which I'll show those. I'll be playing those more. But for now, this is just the introduction. Hope you guys all liked it, and I'll plan on doing the story ones. But in the meantime, I'll be making my warband party bigger, and I'll start off showing you guys the warband first for future video installments. But for now, I hope you guys all liked it. You have a great night, and remember, don't panic. Chaos is at work at Mordheim, City of the Dam.